And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the monastery. I screwed it up already. This is not Monastery 5. This is the Valley of the Judge. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra. I have had a very cursed run with these streams the last few days because it ended up picking up the wrong mic.
Haha.
Oh, God.
Well, you know, if they were on the registered pickup list, then it would be fine.
But with me, of course, we have the good brothers and sisters of the temple. We have our three-eyed deadliest cook on Saturdays. Good brother Joe.
And ready to shoot my mouth off. Ha ha.
We have the master of the Wanderer's Library. Good brother Sig.
Hello, everybody. Hope everyone's having a wonderful night.
And the person who's probably plotting a Sentinel build as we speak. Good sister Tabby.
I mean, I wasn't. I was more doing other things, but now I am.
But
nothing wrong with that.
Oh, God, don't give her the Steel Guard idea.
Too late. But
God damn it.
How about the Iron Protector?
I will just say you are now bound to do that entire FFLE campaign now.
I know, I'm writing the campaign world as we speak. For goodness sake, give me a couple months at the very least.
And
Okay,
I join?
fine.
We'll see, Joe. I can probably have you on as a guest one of these days.
it will be amusing seeing more of that, especially given some folk who seem to want me to handhold them in terms of how to play my game.
Skill issue.
I mean, the only question I ever had was, is this a free action or is it not? That was the only question I had, because I was like, I wasn't sure. So.
Yeah, I don't really have reactions in that sense. mostly because you're only doing one action, since I'm not having people futz about with movement. Japan?
Reactions in this economy?
Yeah.
Well, Sig, I'm sorry. Kaz might have taken more damage than he actually did. That's in.
But, and I did go back and look at that, and the main oversight was assuming that the casting roll was also the spell attack.
Yeah, that one's on me.
Otherwise, having a TN of 3 wouldn't make much sense.
Right.
But
I can spell attack.
But we're not here for that.
Oh.
We are here because it is once again the 3-in-1 rule. So it is one-shot night here in the valley, and the wheel that the one-shot landed on was a game that I have covered on this channel during its initial Kickstarter run. That being Infinite Revolution Overdrive Edition. In fact, in the interest of full disclosure, I have interviewed its creator, Gwendolyn Clark, and I have backed the game on Kickstarter. And let me see when I did that initial interview. So, yeah, that was 2 years ago that I initially did that.
Wow.
And when I saw the influence map on the Kickstarter for the game, I knew it was something I was going to cover in one form or another. Because they on the which by the way, while the version that we have isn't out yet, unless you are a backer, it's currently going through custom pledge fulfillments.
Oh.
Okay.
This was
Intriguing.
some of the things that were on the influence map are as follows: Kamen Rider, Promare,
Yes.
Gurren Lagann, Gunbuster/Diebuster, Symphogear, Redline, Bayonetta, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Nova, Warframe, specifically the Archwing parts of Warframe, Destiny, Lancer, Into the Breach, and the Isaac Asimov story, The Last Question.
I'm already intrigued.
42.
You said my magic word with Bayonetta.
You said a lot of my magic words.
Klaatu Verada Nicto?
And thus the Army of the Dead awoke.
Wouldn't be the
Damn
first
it,
time I
Sig.
brought all them bitches down.
Sig, we've talked about this.
I know, but they're so much fun to fight.
I thought it was cloth and blueberry necktie.
I'll go get my boomstick and your chainsaw.
Sweet.
But I don't shop at S-Mart.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a you problem.
So,
Dang.
and anyways, I will notice a bit interesting that we open up with a bit of the backstory before we go into any bit of a table of contents or the like. But it opens with, all systems tend towards entropy. When times were simpler, easier to explain, this was a universal constant. A comfort, in a way. No matter how terribly it all went, no matter how many horrors we visited upon ourselves, the planets, the universe, it would all return to the void in the end. What a relief, right? Our state changed that. 831 years ago, a piece of the universe tore open, and our understanding of thermodynamics went up with it, never to return. We called it Royal, a specific alien frequency emanating from certain human beings. Untraceable, incomprehensible, and somehow entirely benign. At least it was, till desks and doors and consoles and ship commands, anything and everything a roiling human touch started bubbling, shimmering, sublimating to floating motes of white heart sparkling radiance. Our state. A human's royal syncs frequency with any physical matter on contact, producing under ideal conditions a pseudo-stable system that tends impossibly but undeniably towards energy. The revolver drive is the apotheosis of our understanding, as it is of our state. A ceramic turbine in a custom-molded H-carbide shell, machined to the nanometer for maximal resonance with a single royal emanation, capable of producing astounding amounts of usable energy, as long as you can find something that can handle the constant, ever-ascending throughput. Something like you. That's the quirk of revolver drives, or our state. They don't turn off. They can't turn off. Infinitely escalating resonance is the default. Forcing things in the other direction requires enormous amounts of thermodynamic effort, and even the best you'll get is a delay. There has never been a successful case of an R drive returning to a lower energy state, and it's likely there never will be. Every point is a point of no return. Every peak a valley. It only goes up. And
I can definitely see where the Promare influences come in.
And then we get to the table of contents. I will note that we do have bookmarks proper, which is good.
Yay.
Which is good.
That over here.
I do wish that we had hyperlinked table of contents, but I'm not going to be too picky. So let me skip to the end for a moment to check one thing.
The index.
And we do not have an index.
Rip.
But further on, we have the whole thing of you are revolver. Screaming through the void along relativity's bleeding edge, clad in starlight and fire, painting glistened fractal burn trails in your wake. Piercing the veil, bright and defiant, a meteor through dark water, a white-hot knife carving away the tide of boiling unlight. A turbine in your heart, forever spinning, a bone-deep thrum like fission up your spine, forever pushing you hotter, quicker, brighter. Your cannons roar, your missiles hiss, your blades sing. You are Revolver, humanity's last and greatest hope. You breathe stardust, you eat darkness, you guard dreams, you breathe light. Now rev your drive, and let's find out what that means to you.
You also work it harder, make it faster, do it better, make it stronger.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, the idea is you play as a revolver, a human with a hypersonic turbine for a heart and their revolver drive, an infantry-scale exosuit forged from and fueled by the concentrated life of their hopes, fears, and dreams.
I see the Gurren Lagann reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it goes on, once revolvers were pathfinders, trusted navigators, talented engineers, and living power sources, vanguards of humanity's first eager steps beyond Primus Sol. They lent the limitless energy of their implanted drives to tear breaches in space-time, bearing early-gen colony cruisers safely through the stars unknown, and helped lay the foundations for the first Veil-space gates. Their turbines burned with the promise of limitless freedom, a brilliant new future for Earth and beyond. Centuries on, and their V-gates lie cold and empty. The stars have vanished into darkness, and the ever-swelling tide of the Veil encroaches further across the Jovian belt. Primus Sol is cornered, cut off from its sister systems, but the fight isn't over yet. Now, the galaxy has gone dark. The Veil, a legion of bizarre, paracasual anti-life, ruthless predators made of animate entropy, have swept across the Milky Way, shrouding the stars themselves in a curtain of hungry shadow. Their presence has disrupted both entanglement comms and V-gate travel, leaving the fate of the systems beyond Primus Sol to grim speculation. Not that you have time to speculate. In the decades since their first appearance, the Veil have covered vast swaths of stellar space in their shroud of shimmering darkness, growing stronger with every planet they consume. Now they mass their forces in the Jovian belt, preparing to launch a full-scale assault on the remains of humanity. If the Veil take Jupiter, Primus Sol is as good as lost. The gas giant's mass will fuel an all-consuming tide of entropy, strong enough to wipe any hope of resistance. Humanity has drawn their line, it's up to you to hold it. So,
Okay.
The fate of the world is in your hands. Don't fuck it up. But,
Well, I mean, when you put it that way.
And then it's going into the fact you're going to need people, you're going to need character sheets, and you're only using D6s. Now, the core fundamentals are built on 3 phases of play, and it looks like we do have some hyperlinks after all. Combat, where you're trying to survive will not burn up or zero out. Crisis, where you are racing against the clock to solve humanity's problems. And Cradle, where you return home to rest and go through downtime. You'll usually play out scenes from all 3 phases over the course of a mission, but not necessarily in that order. Now, when it comes, obviously the core rules involve checks. A basic check, first you pick your approach, then you build a d6 based on context or character ratings. Then roll. If the highest die is 1 to 3, it's a null. Complications, then get worse. If it's a 4 or 5, weak hit, success with complications. The 6, strong hit, success, no rating. If you get 2 or more 6s, it's a crit. So these 4 tiers of effect are not far removed from the way results work in Powered by the Apocalypse. You know, the no and yet yes but and yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever need to roll a check and you have 0 dice, you can always wing it. Roll 2d6 and take the lowest die. If you manage to roll 2 6s while you're winging it, you still crit.
Interesting resolution.
But I will remind folk that critting on 2d6 is significantly harder.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you have a 2.78 chance of getting a 12 on 2d6. And I look at the time with Sword World and how crits were exploding damage, and it makes sense that that damage could get that out of hand when you're critting, because you're rarely going to do it. And hell, even if you took a crit fishing fencer build, the highest crit range you'd have is 10 to 12. Which is still not a whole lot. Now, you also have saves. If the GM calls for a save, you roll 1d6. On a 4 or higher, you succeed. Otherwise, you fail.
Straight and to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
You can also push your limits, coaxing your drive past its safe operating resonance to attempt rules bending, odds defying, or something incredible. You'd roll d6 equal to your current drive stress, or 1d6 if you're at 0. And if the lowest die is a 5 or a 6, you get what you want and clear 2 drive stress. A 2 or a 4, you get what you want, but you take 1 drive stress. And if it's a 1, you get what you want, but clear all drive stress and take a point of drive burn. Now, drive stress and drive burn, when you use your drive powers, boost a check in crisis, or take nasty hits in combat, you take drive stress. Short-term strain on your drive's core turbine. It begins at 0, accumulates as you play, and can be reduced during the cradle phase. On its own, it has no negative effects, but the more you have, the more dangerous it is to push your limits, and the higher you risk of taking drive burn, which is permanent damage. When you take a point of burn, you choose one of your core's burn scars, which are permanent side effects, and mark it off. You bear that chosen scar for the rest of the game. The 5th scar is Burn Up, an irreversible positive feedback loop that grants you a massive short-term boost in power. While in Burn Up, you ignore all additional drive burn you take for any reason, but at the end of the scene you trigger it, you sublimate into our state, and your story ends.
So you can go out like a badass, essentially.
Mm-hmm. I do like I'm seeing more and more of these kind of systems. Zan and I saw this years ago when we covered Heavens and Heresies and how every class had an ability called Raising the Death Flag, which let them do basically an overpowered version of what that class already did, but at the end of the encounter, you die.
I do like that kind of mechanic in the games because you could do something really awesome, but at a cost.
And I think there are various scenes in anime or film that we've all enjoyed where you have that one person who's making that last stand where they know they're screwed, they know they're not coming out of this alive, but they are not going down easy.
Ten Shinhan.
I loved what Abridged did with that, where even long after that, Cell still has that living rent-free in his head.
Kiko, how you doing?
I suppose another example would be Zack in Crisis Core, which is a good way to inflict emotional damage for those who have played that particular scene. I suppose one of the earliest examples in classical fiction is Benkei in The Tale of Genji. Shot with arrows, but because of how hideous he was to the other samurai, they didn't dare approach him, and he died standing up.
Or Guan Yu, when he died and became the god of war.
Mm-hmm. Although, when it comes... I have a soft spot for Xiahou Dun. Gets shot in the eye. Fortunately, it doesn't reach his brain. Pulls the thing out. His eye goes with it. It's like, fuck it, let's keep going.
Eats the eye!
That's a badass.
He was.
But then we have the character basics, which is a set of questions regarding characterization beforehand. So, who are you before the drive? How did you royal? Do you like being a revolver? What do you feel about the veil? How do you feel about your brace? What do you want, and do you think we can win? I like that with the last one. They said, be honest, no wrong answer. But then you have to determine their spark, which is a word or short phrase that represents a defining facet of your character. This can be just about everything, but every spark has a name and a short description, a strength rating, how many die you will roll when you make checks using that spark, and 2 limiters, restrictions or caveats on what the spark can do. If you're trying to do something that plays against one of your limiters, it'll cost additional dice, or otherwise be harder in some way. A good way to make these is to ask a leading question about the spark, then answer it. That answer becomes your limited. Or limiter. I do like that they are putting this in, because with these sort of blank check mechanics, there's a tendency among some folk, bait. I really need to get that looked at. To do this romanticized. We left it blank because we trust the players to come up with a example of this on their own. They're genre savvy enough. That's not an assumption you should be making, even if it might be true.
They really shouldn't.
Because as a designer, you have no way of knowing how genre savvy the table is. And, that was something I brought up when I covered Fabula Ultima, and I maintain that. And it's something I brought up when I've covered various Fate Core games. Although some Fate Core games are just doomed to fail. Looking at you, Fate of Cthulhu.
Oh god, let's start that flame war.
And suddenly I'm supposed to be sympathetic to Evil Hat for the fact that the Tomb Raider game didn't pan out.
That's okay, because their better one exists anyway.
a better one exists and is free.
Mhm.
But I believe on the next set of pages, when it loads, we have a few examples of sparks, as well as limiters. And you can kind of see what is intended with the idea of sparks, and I love that we have a limiter for this.
Mhm.
Oh. But then we have the idea of building a drive. You choose a drive pattern, we'll get to those later, to determine your starting stats and combat approach, a drive core to define your powers and overall playstyle, and an arsenal of weapons to help you battle the Veil.
Start your engines.
So those are
sorry, wrong guy.
those are the three pillars of character design. I always enjoy this sort of mix and match approach of building with multiple pillars. It's a nice touch instead of, say, the playbook design, where no matter how many playbooks you end up making, there's going to be some concepts that fall through the cracks.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have the finishing touches. First, set your starting RPM. This is a 5-digit number that determines how fast your core's internal turbine is spinning, and a rough approximation of how long they've been around. You can choose it yourself or roll 5d6 and record their values. RPM is personal. A specific value has no effect on advancement or character ability. Then set sights. Your sights is the number of dice you roll when you attack in combat scenes. Everyone starts at 3. You find a call sign, self-explanatory, and optional but recommended, pick a theme song.
Alrighty.
I like how it includes little pieces of flavor that aren't really necessary, but are there, just for fun.
Indeed.
Fun and establishing style.
Mm-hmm.
But
which is very important for a game like this, I do believe.
Mm-hmm. But then we have the idea of drives, and well, the U that's within this setup. A drive core will always have a passive feature, a set of powers noted by the using most of your powers generates drive stress, overdrive, which in order to use you need to push your limit and you can only do it once per mission, a failsafe, which can avoid drive burn, though it does degrade over time and it has limited uses, so you can't rely on it too much, and burn scars, which you mentioned before. And after being implanted with the drive core, you learn to manifest your drive in one of 4 basic resonance patterns. And hold on a sec. Scrolling is a bit sensitive on my PDF reader. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But a pattern has 3 key ratings: mass, how much impact your drive can absorb before you start losing speed; negative mass increases impact received, and massless attacks bypass mass entirely; thrust, the max amount of speed your drive can gain or lose while boosting; and mount points, the total weapon load your drive can mount. Each weapon costs a certain number of mount points to support. The bigger the weapon, the higher the cost. Regardless of MP, you can only mount a maximum of 3 weapons. The way they have that set up is kind of reminding me of like the pick 10 system in the better Call of Duties.
Mm.
So, Black Ops 2, essentially.
Yep, I do agree with that.
So, we have the heavy pattern, which has a mass of 2, a thrust of 2, and MP of 5. You also get 2 armor charges, which you can spend to negate an attack's impact at the cost of speed. Or when a leading ally takes impact that would drop their current speed, you can be their anchor and pull them to match you instead. So heavy pattern is your defender. Exotic pattern has a mass of 0, a thrust of 3, and MP of 2. And when the very first power you use each combat costs -2 drive stress. So essentially, your first powers can potentially be free. When you use drive burn or trigger a failsafe, you first deal harm equal to your current drive stress to foes within 1. And once per mission, when you use a non-overdrive power, you can overcharge it to double all its numeric effects that use only speed bands, harm, boost values, maximum targets, drive stress costs, etc. If an effect would be ambiguous when doubled, go with the interpretation that favors you. Which exotic pattern feels like the caster build, for lack of a better term. Then you have the ultralight pattern with a mass of -1, a thrust of 5, and an MP of 3. When you boost that much +1 instead. This doesn't apply to the standard boost action. Once per scene, you can take drive stress to warp up to your thrust rating as a special action. And once per mission, you can rally without needing to push your limits. So we have the tracer build. And the tactical pattern. Mass of 0, thrust of 3, MP of 4 +4. Tactical patterns have an arsenal, a pool of 4 extra MP that must be spent entirely on terrestrial weapons. Weapons in your arsenal ignore the 3-weapon cap, but you can't split points between your arsenal and base MP to pay for the same weapon. Every weapon in your arsenal comes equipped with an arsenal mod. Choose from the table or work with your GM to customize. You can only choose each mod once, but you can freely configure your arsenal and its mods during cradle play.
Oh, goodness.
So, tactical pattern is having the arsenal effect is apropos because this is the walking arsenal. This is Gundam Heavy Arms.
Yep.
Got that 6 freaking chain guns.
But still needs more DACA.
I mean, I could go with that, or I could go with, say, the Atlas, also known as the Steiner Scout Squad. Remember, it is still a technical scouting mission if no one can report back. Or some of the versions of White Glint that were fucking nuts in Armored Core 5. And I bring up Armored Core 5 for answer specifically because that was the speediest Armored Core ever got.
You're not wrong.
But some of the arsenal mods are CQC Retrofit, Weaponized Vent, Onageshin Spike, Star Metal Hilt, DCL Direct Core Line, Embedded Co-Pilot, Paracasual Munitions, Perfect Accelerator, Woven Filaments, and Relic Verdict Blank. This weapon is a key, find the lock. Can only be chosen at character creation and can't be changed. So not only are they the walking arsenal, but they can do more stuff with their weapons. Why does that sound familiar to me?
I don't know.
But then you have failsafes, which are limited-use paraphysical contingencies for catastrophic load imbalance. When you take Drive Burn, you can choose to engage a failsafe, reducing your current count by 1, ignoring the burn, and postponing your sublimination for just a little longer. It requires a ground to activate. And what that ground is, you choose at the moment you engage the failsafe or in advance. But whatever you picked as a ground when you activate that failsafe is gone. So if that's a comfort object, it's gone. If it's a relationship, which is not recommended, it is also gone.
Jeez.
The actual loss involved with burning a failsafe can be physical, emotional, mnemonic, or otherwise at GM discretion, but it's always dramatic and taxing. It always hurts. Each drive core can only engage a limited amount of failsafes. Some patterns are more intrinsically viable than others and respond less well to emotional contouring. Failsafes also never refresh on their own and can only be occasionally regained during cradle play. But I think we can see what they're going for when it comes to failsafes and the high drama that the game is shooting at.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have the different cores, and I will note each of them is named after one of the zodiac signs. Which leads me to wonder why Saint Seiya wasn't brought up in the influence map.
Well, there's no talk about Pegasus. That's why.
But we have the passive effect, 3 powers, and an overdrive. And of course the burn scars for it. And I wish I could shift the spread so that it is showing them proper.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can. It doesn't look like I can. Because I was trying to see if I could do even spreads or something like that. But I'm not seeing the option. So let me. Oh, that's rotate. I don't want that.
Otate banana.
So let me. No, that's just. I'll just have to power through it. I can do that if I was loading this up in a browser, but I'm not. But then we have Taurus, which seems to be a gravity-based setup. Which Taurus its role is a battlefield anchor with 3 failsafes. Let's see, we have Gemini, which creates a quantum double.
Always useful.
Mm-hmm. Its role is a Harrier with 2 failsafes. Then we have Cancer, who's built around an antimatter shell.
Oh, nice. That's my sign.
Its role is massive deterrence. And hello there, Dissonant Ruin. Thank you for the follow, and hope you enjoy the madness.
Welcome.
Mm-hmm. But we have Leo, my sign, which is built around radiance. And is described as maximum threat saturation with 4 failsafes. Fire, walk with me. So Leos set things on fire and keep them on fire.
I'm just looking at Gemini right now.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, we have Virgo, which is all about entropy. Its role is referred to as a space-time integrity specialist. We have Libra, which is focused on linking, so team player. In fact, its role is described as a field tactician. We have Scorpio, which is focused on basically debuffing. Which makes sense. And only able to lurk for a little while I eat out. It's been going good. Right now we are going through Infinite Overdrive as we look through what it has to offer as a TTRPG. Let's see, we also have Sagittarius, which is definitely going to be the sniper. Although its role is artillery, which I guess you could snipe with artillery. It's orbital bombardment is sniping, right?
Yeah. With a very big laser.
Mm-hmm. But looking at the burn scars, I think you can see how it's set up. And how the more you take, the more very much not human you are. Like looking at the Sagittarius burn scars, one of your eyes burns with starlight. You have minor telekinesis. You can't always control it even when you try. Your drive core feeds you a constant dizzying stream of perfect spatial telemetry. Arcs, vectors, rotations, more. Regardless of proximity, everything always feels impossibly close. And if you burn up, your drive doesn't sublimate at the end of the scene. Instead, you get the Godslayer Core Bolt that inflicts maximum stress. Choose a target. It's completely annihilated. No trace of it remains in the past, present, or future. You remain in burn up until the mission ends, or you use Godslayer Core Bolt, whichever comes first. You can otherwise act normally, ignore all further drive burn. When you exit burn up, your drive jettisons its core and forms the heart of a new constellation.
Jeez.
Let's see. We have Capricorn, which has a Veilsbane blade, so it is very much built around a melee build. It is referred to as a V-Space Interdictor. And its particular burn up, after it's done, you open a breach and are swallowed into void space. You may fight on, but you will never return. Let's see. Aquarius has prophecies with its setup, and is referred to as a force multiplier. And it seems like the more you burn when it comes to Aquarius, the more you have a weaker sense of time. And this instance, what I'm hearing almost sounds like a Borderlands-like TTRPG. No. This is most definitely not Borderlands. Stig and I have talked about that, and how that one, well, it was a disappointment until we found the advanced rules, which pulled that thing out of the fire.
Yeah, no kidding. Fixed a lot of the problems that were, not in the core book, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still gonna kill things with my subtitles.
And we have Pisces, which is the speedy boy, it looks like.
Your maximum speed is 12. Good lord.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the burn scars for Gemini, you're not sure your memories are all yours.
Mm-hmm. And the burn scars for Pisces, if you do the full burn up, you have 4 minutes to move as fast as possible, and when that time runs out, you shatter at the speed of light.
Ooh.
That's a hell of a way to go.
Boom.
It is essentially getting lost in the Speed Force. But when it comes to weapons, we already mentioned that weapons have a particular way that they work. But there are two main categories. Celestial weapons, which are formed of drive-forged light, and are unique to you. And terrestrial weapons, which are exactly what it sounds like.
So, kinetic and elemental almost, like in Destiny.
Yep. Now, weapons are divided into the speed bands that it can hit, how many mount points it has, we've already talked about that, how many foes it can target, the harm, on a weak hit or better it deals harm to all valid targets, and any special tags. You can freely reconfigure all your weapons between missions as long as you don't exceed your drive's mount points or the 3-weapon limit.
Unless you're a drive that breaks that restriction.
Yeah. Now, celestial weapons are meant to be the signature custom weapon. You choose a pattern and subtype, note the subtype's base stats, tags, and pattern trait. Focus one or more celestial lens abilities to customize it further. Describe how it looks and name it. But recommended. And these subtypes are different types of beams, bows, cannons, channels, which are described as multiplex directed energy weapons, similar to terrestrial drone arrays. So it is essentially is a drone of light.
Nice.
You also have seekers, good old missiles, along with a variety of missiles, still not as many missiles as we did in Descent, which is as far as I'm taking that, because I really don't want to try and play Descent again.
No, you're just gonna make me play it.
I'm not going to make you do anything.
Fair enough.
And we have blades, which are self-explanatory. Breakers, also self-explanatory. Coils, whips, and we have kadas for those who want their celestial weapon to be unarmed fighting. And shields, because yes, we need to normalize shields being weapons.
Yes.
I need to shield bash more often.
Shield bashing is
putting the shield up.
Yeah, shield bashing is yesterday's news. I want to go full Captain America doing stars and stripes in MVC.
When Captain America throws his mighty shield.
What about throwing the shield and then bashing them in the face and then cutting off their heads?
I'm not playing the Doom of the Dark Ages right now.
I was about to say, hey, don't bring the shield saw into this.
I wasn't going with the saw. I was going, you just yeet it hard enough to, cut off their heads. I'm very violent today.
Even a brick can fly if you throw it hard enough.
Yes.
But then we have Celestial Lensing, which is how you can further customize the weapon. Each Celestial Lens is divided into 3 tiers. A given weapon can only have 2 lenses with any number of tiers from each lens. And you can't apply the same lens multiple times on a weapon. As part of character advancement, you can go onto the next tier or go with a new lens. And once you've unlocked and applied a lens, you can exchange it for other lenses on the same weapon as long as the total number of tiers you've unlocked stays the same. And each of them has 3 tiers, and there's quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have terrestrial weapons, which are powerful but don't benefit from power synergies and can't be upgraded. But we do have a few tags that they can use. And it looks like the highest MP goes for any weapon, whether it be celestial or terrestrial, is 3.
Still want to make a seeker that shoots warheads and name it I Regret Nothing.
Some of them will inflict statuses, which we have the debuffs there. Then we get to combat. And combat is a somewhat tactical affair. After you've established the stakes, explained objectives, assigned starting speed, which speed is equal to 2 plus your revolver's thrust, while foes have a specific speed in their stat block. And this is something that I've been seeing more is games that are going a tactical approach, but aren't using grid combat.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've picked on grid combat in a few videos, but I want to make clear I don't hate it. What I dislike is the idea that that's what you have to do in order to be tactical. Regardless, speed is your position, your range, and your armor and your life.
Oh, jeez.
So speed is usually going to be from 0 to 10, relative, showing how fast you're moving. It is your range because weapons and powers can only target characters at certain speeds relative to you. Your armor, taking damage will reduce your speed. And your life, if your speed ever drops below 1, you 0 out. You'll remain there until the combat ends unless you decide to rally and try and rocket back into the fight. So you can gain speed with boost, lose speed by taking impact, or lose speed with boost. And if the target speed is above you, they're leading. If it's below you, they're trailing. If it's equal to you, they're matched. And this is important because different weapons will say LT or W or the like and a number. That's basically saying that it has to be within that range. Just as an example, the Luna shield range is M, meaning you can only target enemies that are matched your speed. Whereas the SGR1 Dragon Axe, it can be matched or L2. So 2 leading. I.e. if the target speed is up to 2 higher than yours, but isn't the same. So you almost have this racing game like approach when it comes to speed and your position. It's an interesting way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that I can see why this is why this particular approach was referred to as dogfighting, because that's more or less what we've got here.
Not wrong.
And because of that, if somebody does not pick Danger Zone as their theme song, I will be vastly disappointed.
The original or the Psycho Stick version?
Original.
The Horse Girl version.
But
What?
moving right along.
I'm not going to explain the joke. It's fine.
Never explained the joke. But as far as actions, you take one basic action. You can take one basic action and any number of special actions, but a lot of those special actions are once per round. So, on an attack, if you roll null, so a 1 or a 3, you miss and the enemy gets to counter. If you roll a weak hit, so a 4 or a 5, you hit and deal your weapon's harm and effects to all targets, but the enemy gets to counter. You roll a 6, it's a strong hit, you hit. If you roll a crit, you hit and your attack deals double damage. On the other hand, instead of attacking, you can choose to boost. You gain or lose speed up to your drive's thrust, and for boost X effects, up to the specified X amount. Some effects will allow you to warp. This works like boost, but you reach your target speed instantly without traveling through any intermediate speeds. And of course, you can always use a drive power. Powers don't require a roll, they always work, but you take their drive stress after they resolve. You also have a few special actions, like Turbo, where once a round you can take a second basic action and then immediately push your limits. Or Retro, once per round you can boost 1, then take 1 stress. Or Seal, equalize a number of active Veil breaches you're currently matched to, removing them from the scene. Or Rally, if you're zeroed out, you can rally to return to the fight in the blaze of Superluminary Defiance. Push your limits, reset your speed to 2 plus thrust, or less, your choice. Clear all statuses, and then take the rest of your turn as normal. You can also do deep support if you have reinforcement options. And Overdrive, which you can only use once per mission. Which overdrives are very damn powerful. They are, I guess I'd equate them to daily powers in the edition I'm supposed to hate, but I don't because the check bounced. But of course, the Veil, which has its own action economy. And that is done during the incursion turn, which is basically their round. Revolvers deal damage as harm. Foes deal damage as impact. Harm reduces the presence of foes. When they lose all their presence, they're destroyed. Foes deal damage as impact, which reduces revolver's speed. Now, Veil Breaches are portals to V-Space. They have their own speed, but aren't characters and can't be targeted. When a breach is opened, it remains active until the end of the scene or until a revolver seals it. The more breaches that are out there, the more vulnerable the battlefield becomes to incursion. And first, the incursion essentially is a way to make things more interesting on the GM side of things. The more incursion there are, the more incursion moves can be done. And that can be things like bringing in more foes or bringing in stronger foes. So it is definitely a way to do combat without needing to go with a grid, because can you imagine trying to do this sort of speed emphasis combat with a grid?
Oh lord.
It'd be a nightmare to be sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, Crisis is one of the other pillars, which is built around beats, and is essentially a track-based setup. In a way that kind of reminds me of like the clock system you'd see in Powered by the Apocalypse. And obviously the last one is Cradle, which is the downtime part. It is one of the main things is choose a Cradle move, choose what you want to do, then roll a d6. If you roll equal to or over your current drive stress, you clear all drive stress. If you roll under, you either clear half or take a flare-up to reroll any number of dice plus an additional d6. If you do, treat the sum of all dice as your new total. A flare-up is described as letting your drive stress get the better of you. And Cradle moves do have a few suggestions for flare-ups. So again, we are doing that risk-reward thing.
Even during downtime, that's unique.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely something.
Well, you are under a very high-stress situation. You are dealing with essentially an existential crisis, so it does make sense. I think of the waves of aliens that showed up in Gunbuster and Diebuster. It's like, so how big is their army? Yes. Jinx.
Yeah.
But some of the example Cradle moves are Rest, Searching, Reveling. Revolvers don't need to eat or drink, but they still can. Or Sparring. You also have Tinker, Laboring, so get to work, Train, or Love. Always nice to see downtime activities in role-playing games.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have Advancement. Whenever you return from a mission, you add a digit to your RPM. You get 3 advancement tallies, which you can spend, as well as a rank of Deep Support. Now, when it comes to the advancement tallies can be spent on advancement tracks. So we have things like spend 6 of them to gain +1 sights, spend 4 to modify one of your drive's powers or gain a new spark, 3 to remove a limiter from one of your sparks, 3 to give yourself +1 mass or thrust or +1 MP, 2 to increase a spark's rating by 1, or 1 to focus a new tier of Celestial Lens, only once per downtime, which is good because I could see someone using that to get all 3 tiers of a lens at once if there wasn't that limitation. But Deep Support is if I'm using the Call of Duty analogy earlier, this would be the equivalent of kill streaks. You know,
Yeah.
calling in support sort of thing. And
Only be online.
You can only select up to 2 options for the upcoming mission. It requires you to allocate a number of ranks in order to use it. Now, since you earn ranks as a group and not individually, you do have to negotiate with everyone else to pick one. So we have direct fire options, which are rank 1, as well as some rank 2 options and rank 3 options. Maneuvering, drive engineering, and counter entropy. And each of them has a nice little description and combat effect. You can also use them in the crisis phase. It's just a one-time use spark with strength equal to its rank cost +2. And we have the hammer is meant to be the GM's part of things. As well, there's also a bit of advice on building a mission, which is nice to have, and I really do like this mission outline thing we have on page 85.
Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. And then there is the veil. And I do like that for the pages with the veil, they flip the visual style.
Ugh. Some of these pictures and whatnot are kind of hurting my eyes.
Mm-hmm. But veil is essentially the monster side of things. Each veil will have a rank, a reach, the maximum speed you can gain or lose with fold, which works the same way as boosting for revolvers. The shell, which is their armor. When a foe with shell takes damage, they can negate that damage and reduce their shell by 1. Presence, their ability to fight. So this is their HP. Their attacks, powers, and counters. Foes can counter an unlimited number of times per round, but only a single foe at a time can counter any one attack. And when it comes to the ranks, we have 4 of them. Why do I feel called out? We have chaff, your mooks. They come in the dozens and they die in the dozens.
Fodder.
Mm-hmm. Standard. These will fall quickly, but can still pose a danger to careless or vulnerable revolvers. So monsters of the week. Elite. Specialist, requiring a coordinated attack. And bosses, scene-defining threats. And it's very clear the idea of bosses here is akin to solos in 4th edition, which were monsters that were specifically designed to take an entire party by themselves. One of the first examples given was the good old Beholder. But there's also the fact that veils can generate veil seeds if a scene is ended with 4 or more incursions. Which I guess V seeds would be their equivalent to, say, hammer support. The more seeds, the more interesting things they can do with it. And we have the different strains of the different types of enemies. But this kind of white background approach compared to what we've seen before, I feel like it gets the vibe. It's hammering home the vibe that the veil is supposed to have, which is this antithesis of life. It's essentially weaponized antimatter. And if you're thinking of the anti-spiral, I feel like that was the intent.
Mhm.
There's the Gurren Lagann again.
Mhm. And ending on a Dylan Thomas quote, the famous "Do not go quietly into the night." And I think the only issue that I have is that we don't have the character sheets yet, or at least they weren't. At least we didn't see them here. That, and as mentioned, I do have a bit of an issue with the fact that there is not a index even for a book of this size.
Mhm.
Uh, but that more or less covers what we have here with Infinite Revolution's Overdrive edition. So, with that said, what do you guys think of what we have here?
Got a
I
good
like
question.
it.
Seems very fast paced, and there's a lot of risk reward to it. So I have a feeling you're going to be making multiple characters with this because of how quickly it seems like you can die. Which is fine with me because it keeps you playing and keeps things interesting.
Yeah.
It flows very well.
For me, I would say this is a game that is very, very, very dedicated to a particular theme and a particular vibe. And I always appreciate when there is that dedication. Because in that dedication, it means that you're not going to conflate it with anything else, for one. But also, everything is designed to, well, revolve around that concept, and that's what we've got here.
Revolve.
Yes, yes. But I really think that I would have liked to see the character sheets in some form here. I realize that's going to happen eventually, but at least put them in the core book in some form.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is. In the Starlight edition, there were the character sheets, but the Starlight edition is considered out of date. Like the Overdrive edition is closer to the current form. And that one doesn't have these sheets. Now maybe there is the possibility that the character sheet from the Starlight edition works just as well. And there is also the possibility it might be on the might be on the Discord, but I'm not in the Discord. So I can't say either or on that front. But obviously, something else that certainly helps this particular setup is the strength of design here. But when I look at what's here, and I look back at the influence map I saw, I think the only one that where I question where it's present here is Kamen Rider. I do remember Gwen saying that she hadn't watched a whole lot of Kamen Rider at the time, but that's the only entry I don't quite see here. But I may not be seeing the bigger picture.
It really depends on which Kamen Rider you're looking at. I mean, even though I did make the Drive joke, like I do see a couple of elements here and there from like Forza because of space stuff.
Mhm.
I think it's more for the more tech related Kamen Riders.
I could see it in the sense of you being a type of post-human, which pretty much all of the Showa era writers were.
Mhm.
Like you had a human appearance, but for all intents and purposes, guys like Takashi weren't human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no. There's the implication that he has a thermonuclear engine that's somehow wind powered in his body. It was the 70s.
At least
That
you
is
weren't
fair.
experimented on by an evil organization.
Oh. Let alone the whole. Don't even get me started on what's in Kamen Rider Black's body. Even more so if we dig up Black Sun. You know, the Amazon series from a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I really do love the belts in that one, though.
I love the belts. It is. I feel like Black Sun did what Amazon's was trying to do, but had more focus.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing was that Shirakuro was not directly involved in Black Sun, nor was his writer buddy. Like whenever those two get involved, it ends up turning south, which is why I think people don't have the same fondness for season 2 of Amazon's and the movie as they do for the first season.
Yeah, I mean, it could be worse. At least it wasn't Dragon Knight.
I honestly feel bad when it comes to Dragon Knight because the Wang brothers, their heart was in the right place.
They could have done any other series to start off with in order to bring Kamen Rider back to America, and they chose Ryuki. And I feel that was a really bad decision.
I'm on the fence about whether or not it was their decision.
I mean, I'm not saying it was their decision, I'm just saying it was a bad decision.
Yeah. Now, if it was Toei's decision to go with that one, it would not surprise me that Toei would do something that unfortunate.
No, considering what was happening at the time, Toei would have most likely said Deno, which would have been a little better, especially toy-wise and story-wise, but that's just me.
Well, the bigger
Because, Deno never dies!
the bigger problem was timing. Where I lived, Dragon Knight aired at 11:30. That is the death spot for most Saturday morning blocks.
Yeah.
And then uploading the final 2 episodes onto their website because nobody was watching. Like, nobody was watching because you put it in the spot where everybody's already done. It's like you lament. It always annoys me when people lament a problem that they end up creating, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I do really like the approach with the Zodiac and just the general emphasis on speed. Since there have been a few games I've seen that have teased dogfighting in their particular games, but they don't fully commit to it. The fighting over speed thing, this not only does this feel like it is trying to emulate a dogfight you would see, but there's also the fact that it reminds me of one mech game from TG a long time ago called Lunar Reckoning 6-9, which was also about fighting for initiative, fighting for speed. You kind of had something like that in Exalted 3rd Edition, but not quite, and as I've stated in the past, Exalted 3rd Edition is a classic case of missing the damn point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not to get lost in the forest of all knowledge when it comes to it, but I did a video covering it, and I said the problem I have with Exalted 3rd Edition is that it was trying to file off the anime and trying to be a more standard high fantasy setting. The exact things that Exalted was trying not to do in its inception. Our good friend Joel Clark had, I think, hinted that he felt that it was D&Difying Exalted. Especially when you contrast it with, like, 2nd edition, where they got people like Udon Crew to do art for them. You know, that's why I say it was a case of missing the point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fighting for initiative thing was cute. They did admit that it was drawing upon Dissidia, but getting back to Infinite Revolution, I would say if somebody's going to run this, it's important to make clear exactly what kind of game this is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
If you refer to this as Kamen Rider in space, you might end up giving people the wrong impression at your table.
Right. It's always a Power Rangers in space.
Oh, God.
Sorry. It's more Lost Galaxy. No, I was right the first time.
But bringing up say Warframe and the weird ass SF that goes with it is, as well as Destiny, is certainly closer to the mark.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said Destiny would lend itself well to a TTRPG, but some of the people who attempted it have used the wrong systems.
Yep.
And the one that did, when he saw the Destiny 5e thing, he decided to just stop working on his version, which is a shame because I thought he had something going using the Fate dice, but not, or rather Fudge dice, but not necessarily using Fate. I had attempted to use the Cypher system at one point, but I didn't like how it was turning out, so I scrapped it. Maybe depending on how this revised Cypher turns out, I might revisit that in the future, but it's not a high priority. And I know someone's like, what, you don't think Destiny in 5e is a good idea? No.
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 Nope.
And a big reason...
I think I've seen what you're talking about, Mildra, of the D and Destiny thing, which looked good in theory, but in practice, I don't know.
The big problem with trying to... First off, I don't think a game like Destiny should be done in grid combat, period. Same thing goes for Warframe.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sum up the reason why in 2 words: the dance.
Yep.
For those unaware, the dance was the internal nickname for the movement mechanics in Bungie's games. A lot of people describe movement in Halo, Marathon, and a few other games as floaty. This is done on purpose. They're doing that to emphasize the mobility aspect of their firefights. And trying to replicate that in grid combat doesn't quite work. Now, if you wanted to if you wanted to do a TTRPG version of a more tactical shooter, like say some of the Battlefield games, or especially Arma, going grid combat with that would be fine. But I think one thing that we should veer away from as designers is this idea that in order to do combat, we need to have that grid. We need to have this whole section of movement mechanics in that grid-based sense, or even hexes. It has its place, but I don't think it's as much of a requirement as a lot of people think it to be. There's been a lot of self-bullying on that front.
It's part of the reason why I'm a little worried about this Warframe Starfinder collaboration.
It'll be cute at best, but Paizo has a bad habit of not fully embracing their ideas, so I don't think a whole lot's going to come of it. At least not what some people think. There was a Warframe RPG called Armistice Era, but that didn't involve the Warframes themselves. It was treated as a kind of prequel. And that hasn't been updated in years. There are certain games like Light which can do Warframe or Destiny, but it has to be built with that kind of feel in mind instead of just taking a one-size-fits-all approach. And no matter what, you need to emphasize. It needs to be something that's emphasizing movement. But if I were to grade Infinite Revolution as it is now using my grading metric, I would go with recommended. I'm dangerously close to going strongly recommended, but the main thing that keeps me from going over into that is the lack of an index and the fact that the character sheets aren't in the book, at least at this time. If they end up being in there later on, I will eat crow. And if what we've said here in the last hour and a half convinces any of you to want to take a look, there are still late pledges available for the game on BackerKit, and there is also a preview of the game on the itch page. I will put up both of those links in the chat. But overall, this has certainly been a fun experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I know when I put up the schedule on Sunday, I had said that tomorrow was going to be 7th Sea. That is, I realized after the fact that it's the last week of the month, which means the one-shot tradition returns. Sorry about that. Because tomorrow we will not be doing 7th Sea, and in fact, I won't even be GMing. The double-headed monster that is the Indominant team will be doing a one-shot for us. Indominant is a supers RPG that I've covered in the past that takes a lot of inspiration from City of Heroes.
Yes.
Oh, so that's what I've been seeing a lot in the Cloister.
And of course, when we return to the Valley of the Judge next week, we will be delving into the Null class for Draw Steel, which
Yay!
I feel like that class is pandering to me a bit.
I'm just amused that you get to be a player for once.
Yeah, because whenever I do these guest one-shots, I'm having the person who designed the game be GMing.
Makes sense. It's their baby.
Mm-hmm. And that'll be a fun experience. There's the possibility that we may end up using Foundry for it, which I haven't used Foundry in years, so we'll see how that turns out.
I love Foundry.
That's what I'm using for my game.
Yeah. I have reasons
Foundry's
why I didn't use Foundry when I restarted the actual plays. It mostly comes down to logistics.
That's fair.
But
Mm-hmm.
with that said, we will catch you again next time, either tomorrow or next week. And before I forget, tune in this Sunday for the return of the Record of Swordforged Worlds, as I attempt to go over the history of Sword World from its early years to modern times. So please look forward to that.
It's going to be a mouthful.
But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Bye-bye.
On the trail.
Take care.
Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ